You have these people coming so excited. This is our dream. Like, we're going to go on vacations. We're going to travel the country. And then they get into these things and they just fall. It's turning these people's dreams into nightmares. It was 100% because of money. Like, I was a young college kid, hungry, starving. I'm going to go and do something different.
So for me, like, I think you and I are alike in that way where I'm like, okay, great. What's next?
She comes over and hugs me and starts crying and says, "You're fulfilling my dreams."
You've said that progress is the greatest path to happiness. Where did that belief come from? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today's guest is Shane Stauffer. Am I saying that right? Yep. He's first a husband, father, and a man of faith, and the founder of RVs of America. Shane grew his business from just a few $1,000s into a multi-million-dollar company driven by passion for building people, creating meaningful work, and living with consistency across business, home, and church. What a guy. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
So you're calling, where are you calling from again?
I'm calling from actually Colorado right now, out in Colorado Springs. I have a store down here, a dealership, and I'm visiting it right now.
Are you a manufacturer or are you a dealer, or you do a little bit of both?
Yeah, so we're a dealer, but it's kind of different, unique. So, like Shelby Mustangs or Eddie Bauer, like the brand Eddie Bauer, Shelby. We're kind of like the Shelby or the Eddie Bauer of our space. So we do we retail products, but we have a really unique relationship with our manufacturers to the point where they build exclusive products for us. And we kind of use our brand to put on, label them. And so white labeling kind of is, I guess, technically what we do a lot of. But yeah, we also sell stuff that's not our brand. So it's just a unique, we're kind of in a niche that is kind of our own. We lead this space for sure.
Well, and the space is it RVs, but more specifically off-road RVs?
It's off-road, off-grid. When you ask me what I do for a living, I always say I sell adult toys, Then usually after the shock goes off the people's face, then I like to explain a little bit more what I do exactly.
Yeah.
And, they're just toys, for adults to go camping, have fun. And RVs are recreational vehicles, but that's a big, broad term, right? It could be a motorized bus. It could be this behemoth thing that you pull and put toys in. We're very specialized in off-grid, off-road, smaller, trailer. They're travel trailers is what they are, but caravans. We import stuff from overseas, Australian products, and over there they call them caravans. So it's definitely a fun space. It's an emerging market in the United States. Really, some people call it overlanding, and it didn't really exist 20 years ago. It didn't exist. The RV market has existed for 100 years, and it's a $100 billion industry in the United States. The overland market is, just went past its $10 billion mark, and now is up. It's in its upward trend right now, right? Overlanding, but overlanding can be anything from like a souped up Toyota Tacoma where they put tents on top of it and have all types of gear, and they go off out in the middle of nowhere, and they set up their tents and their camping gear. And then there's like the next level of that overlanding market is getting a tow behind, a little trailer that you can take, and you set up a base camp out in the wilderness, and you're off grid, off road. Anyway, so yeah, it's a fun market.
It sounds like an interesting market. So these are people who really don't like to be in campgrounds. These are not your campground people.
Yeah, not really. It's kind of there's a move away from, because RVing has become very popular. Warren Buffett a few years ago purchased the second largest manufacturer in the United States called Forest River. Mm-hmm. And he says this is one of the most exciting emerging markets in America, right? So he sees that there's a lot of potential and growth in the RV industry, but with growth comes a lot of headache, right? Campgrounds are full. You can't get reservations now. And so it's like, there's not enough parks and spots to reserve with the amount of production of the RVs coming out of the industry right now. There's
Hmm.
nearly 250,000 units getting produced every single year,
Yeah.
and not a lot of space. So there's kind of been, that's kind of the emergence of this overland or off-road, off-grid segment has come out, where it's like, hey, if you can't get into a park, this is an alternative. It's still an RV, it's still a camper, it's still a trailer, but it gives you the flexibility. Yeah, you can go to a campground, you can go to the national parks, but you can also go off grid or boondocking, or kind of go into the national forest or the the Bureau of Land Management. Like, these are public lands, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
can go out and camp in a lot of these places for free, but you wouldn't take a traditional RV, because generally they're made for the road, right? It's like taking your sedan off road.
Yeah.
You don't do that, right?
Well, the thing that comes to my mind is because I've been around the RV industry for most of my life, and the nuances is like, hey, just imagine taking everything at home and packing it all up, putting it in your truck, everything in the kitchen sink, sending it down the road at 65 miles an hour and expecting nothing to go wrong.
Yeah.
So so when I think of taking these, they're kind of fragile. A lot of RV dealers I've talked to said, look, these manufacturers' quality is a big concern.
Oh yeah.
So what do you guys do differently that makes your RVs more off-road worthy compared to your traditional manufacturer?
Yeah, so this is a fantastic question that you ask, and you're 100% correct. Most RVs are kind of fragile, and the entire industry is kind of known for not making the best quality premium products out there.
Yeah.
And it's a huge frustration. It's a huge pain point. And so when I got into the RV space, I was going with the traditional stuff. I've been doing this in January 17 years, so going on 18 years now, I guess. So
Okay.
just barely, right?
Yeah, nice.
And starting with the traditional stuff, that was my biggest frustration. This stuff is cheap. It falls apart. It's staples. We call it stick and tin, right? It's
Mm-hmm,
little
mm-hmm.
2x or 1x2s, furring strips stapled together, put some, aluminum skin on it and call it good. And it just rattles apart. It's an earthquake, like you said. Now, I was just so sick and tired of this stuff breaking, falling apart, always complaining. People, customers, and this is the thing: is like, an RV is a toy. It really is a toy. Nobody needs an RV, right? And and so, like, you have these people coming so excited, so like just wide-eyed, wow, this is our dream, like, we're going to go on vacations, we're going to travel the country, and then they get into these things and they just fall apart. And I'm like, the RV industry, it's not always the dealership's fault, right? It's the industry making crap, and then the dealers are
Mm-hmm.
selling the crap, and it's like, it's turning these people's dreams into nightmares, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not
Yeah.
fun when you go out and everything's broken, and it's like, oh, I thought I was going to have a shower, but my water system's leaking, and I can't even, and I got to turn it off, or my fridge stops working, my food turns to mold, and it's like super frustrating. And so I'm like, I love this space. I love the idea of the space, like the RV industry, but I hate the quality. It's frustrating, and I hate these calls. An old retirement. This couple's in retirement ages. They're coming into buying this thing that's going to be their dream and their golden years, and they're going to visit the national parks and the grandkids, and next thing you know, they're calling frustrated, angry. It's all broken. I don't know how to work it, and so this kind of put me on this pursuit to find better built products, right? And
Okay.
unfortunately, they didn't really exist in the US. So this led me to start looking outside of the US, into Europe, into Australia, and their standard is way higher outside of the US. And so I
Hmm.
kind of feel like this space is similar to what the car industry was during the entry of Toyota and Honda into the space, where the American manufacturers, they controlled the space and they could do whatever they wanted. And then once you had the emergence of Toyota and Honda coming in and started making, well, quite frankly, a better product, people
Mm-hmm.
started going, hey, I don't have to go buy a Ford or a Chevy. I can go buy a Toyota. And
Yeah.
these things run great and are really good quality. And so that's what I kind of was seeing outside of the country. So we started importing stuff from Australia.
So
Now, to answer,
what makes them better though? Like, what are they doing
oh,
that's different?
everything from the ground up, everything about them, the structural, like the frames are better, more robust, from aluminum, welded aluminum, right, opposed to
Mm-hmm.
staple and wood, right? You talk
Yeah.
about chassis, right? the standards in the US for a chassis is steel and maybe painted. Or if you're really lucky, it's powder coated, right? But it's still a steel frame, right?
Mhm.
They go to the extent of doing galvanization or aluminum frames, which is what you see in cars, right? Most cars are
Yeah.
galvanized or aluminum. Why would you do a steel? Steel just rusts. You scrape it, it rusts. Suspension is a huge thing, right? So if you go look at a traditional trailer, travel trailer, any type of RV, you're going to see a leaf spring, solid axle, which is the same type of suspension you've seen for 100 years on old trucks, even
Gotcha.
buggy and carriages, right? So all of our stuff is going to have independent air ride suspension, gas and coil shocks, kind of like a Baja trophy truck with, just travel suspension. So to me, it's like that's the foundation of anything, right? Is going to be your
Hmm.
suspension, right? You go jump in a Cadillac and you're driving down the road, smooth ride, right? Because the suspension is taking all that
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah.
Opposed to jumping in an old truck and getting rattled apart because you're solid axle and leaf springs, right? So yeah, I mean, I could talk to you all day long about suspension, welded aluminum frames to galvanized or aluminum uh, chassis, but I don't think you want to get bored with that.
Yeah, I think
Like,
I can tell you're passionate about it, which is good. So if I was in the market for an RV, I'd want somebody who I'm dealing with to be very passionate about it, and know that I'm buying something good. So I appreciate that about you.
oh yeah,
So
and I could go down to the every single point from the way they attach their water fittings to the way they run their wiring looms, right? And compared to the way the U.S. does it versus outside of the US. Now, just to keep in mind too, we have at ROA, we've been pushing for American companies to also raise the bar. And we
yeah,
have. There's a few manufacturers in the US that we have collaborated with to actually build a better product. And we've learned this from, hey, look, we see what the Australians are doing and because we've imported them, we've got that knowledge, and now we're passing this into America and saying, hey, American can do much better. We can now start stepping up and building our stuff better too. And we are. And that's one of the most exciting parts about it. We're not just importing stuff from China, Australia, or Europe. We're also starting to do it in the US. But
big
it's not,
innovation.
there's so many details that go into it, how it's fitted and put together that makes
Yeah.
it a better product than just a few things.
Hmm. Well, I like that. I like that you're bringing innovation because we definitely need some good quality stuff here in America, and more good quality manufacturers. I know there's a push lately to get more stuff built in the United States. So hopefully that we build quality stuff. So the rest of the world wants to buy from us.
Oh, for sure.
So tell me, you've been in the RV business for 18 years. Is that, or 17 years, something like that?
17. Yep. Just past
17.
17.
So what got you into the RV business?
It's funny. I always say if a business owner or an entrepreneur tells you that they started something because some grand vision or some pure ideal or belief, most of them are lying to you. It's
Yeah.
just a fact. It was 100% because of money. Like I was a young college kid, hungry, starving. I looked around, looked at my kids, all my friends making a minimum wage, and I'm like, I'm gonna go and do something different. And I started flipping cars. I went out on Craigslist, I bought a used car. I actually went and got a Pell Grant from college, and it's like I could use it to live on. It was a couple $1,000. Instead of me spending it, I'm like, I'll go buy something and turn it around and flip it. And I am somewhat handy, and
Mhm.
so I went, cleaned up a car, fixed it, sold it, made $1,000, and I was like, this is awesome. And my friends worked all week long, and I did this on the weekend. And it's just one thing happened after another, and I just started flipping cars. And then I dropped out of school, of course, and made $100,000 my first year flipping cars, right? And
Yeah.
and of course, I was like, I had this construct of like, if my dad had never made barely 50 grand, and so I thought I got to go to school, work my way up, work for corporate America. Maybe I'll make 50 and 60 and 70. And then when I made that 100 grand, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And I'm
Gaining
like, I'm out of
confidence.
here, right? I'm like, see you
Yeah.
school. I'm going to go do it on my own. And so it started out, that's how it started, really. Um, and, and I'm like, and that's usually how it starts. You got to just make a buck, right?
Yeah.
But I started doing that and realized that one, I didn't really like, unfortunately, I know you do a lot of car stuff, but I didn't really like selling cars. And
It's a
I got
brutal
frustrated
business.
with, huh?
It's a brutal business,
It is a
cars.
brutal business. And I also didn't like the way I was treated. People would treat me poorly because, I was selling cars. I was selling used cars too, right? Cheap used cars too. I was
The
selling
worst.
two to three
The
thousand,
worst.
four
Yeah.
thousand dollar used cars. So it was
Yeah.
like the worst of the worst, right? And
Yeah.
I just went home one day and I was telling my wife, I don't want to sell cars anymore. I'm done. Like, I don't want to, like, this is not I need to go back to school. And my parents, I grew up RVing. My parents have always owned RVs and trailers. And my mom says, hey, can you go and buy me a new trailer, a new RV? And I was like,
Hmm.
why are you even asking me, Mom? I don't know. What are you talking about? She's like, well, you go to the auctions to buy cars. Can't you buy trailers too? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know. And so I went over to the auction. I'm like, oh, well, look, there's trailers over there. When do those run? Oh, those run every other week. Oh, cool. So I bought my mom a trailer, and then I got this bright idea. Hey, Mom, maybe I can sell the trailer for you. I'm curious. I want to know how much I can get out of it. It's because I want to sell it like my car and see what I get.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, no. She's like, no way. I want my trailer. And anyway, long story short, this couple comes to buy the trailer.
Sold mom's trailer.
Yeah, sells mom. I'm like, I'll go buy you another one, Mom.
Yeah.
And they come in, and this experience is different. They're talking about how they want to go see their grandkids and visit the national parks, and how they had been dreaming of this moment for years. And then at one point, she comes over and hugs me and starts crying and says, "You're fulfilling my dreams. This is our dream." And I was like, whoa. I'm like, I'm fulfilling your dreams, right? And then I went home and I told my wife, I'm not, this is what I'm doing forevermore. And that was maybe 14, 15 years ago.
Hmm.
And we moved into RVs, right? And nothing has been, rosy. I feel like there's been more struggles and, hardships than good, but we've grown and we've improved. And every year we've had some sort of growth, and
So you've
I'm still trying to figure it out, honestly.
so you've had your dealership for 14 years?
17 is officially when I started.
Okay.
Yeah, selling
You were
cars,
selling cars, and then you
and
switched
then I
to
moved to
RVs.
the dealership. Yeah, RV. Yeah,
Okay. And now, 14 years later from when you switched to RVs,
yeah,
uh, you have multiple locations now across the country.
yeah. We have four locations across the country.
How do you determine where you're going to put these things?
Demand. People ask us. People beg us.
Yeah.
We just wait until there's enough people on the East Coast telling us, when are you going to put a store on the East Coast? Like, when are you going to put a store in Texas? When are you going to put a store in Florida? And we say, at some point. And, we realize that at one point, almost 40% of our customers, which we don't call them customers, it's kind of funny, we call them roamers. So 40% of the people that were buying from us were coming across east of the Mississippi, right, to Utah, which is where we started.
Yeah.
And we just said, look, this isn't a good service. They have issues. They have problems. It's like coordinating somebody to fix it. And plus it's niche. We know the products better. Some of it we partially design, right? So we know it better so we knew that we needed to get on the East Coast. So that was our second location. So we had an East Coast and a West Coast, pretty much,
Okay.
Utah and South Carolina. And then I just had an opportunity about a year and a half ago to acquire 2 stores, and it was something I couldn't turn down. And so that's why I'm in Colorado and Arizona. And yeah, and we're going to keep on growing. We'll add more stores over the years, but right now we're trying to dial it in where we're at and make sure culturally we're all on the same page. There's nothing more important than culture in a business. That's really what,
100%.
like, you want to be successful. You gotta create a good culture.
Yeah. That culture is going to make or break any business. You could sell the best products in the world, but if everybody hates their life while they work there, it's not going to be around for very long.
Oh no,
So,
absolutely. And they put that on the customer too.
yeah.
They,
Oh
if,
yeah.
if you're
100%.
miserable, you give a miserable experience, right? So
Yeah. I was at the grocery store for lunch today, and the vibe was off today. Normally everybody's in a good mood, but I could tell everybody was pissed off. Something must have happened at the grocery store for lunch, because the woman in the deli, she was mad. The cash register, he was mad. Customer service, he was mad. Manager was walking around pissed off. And you could feel
Yeah.
the energy from when people aren't, in a good mood.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah.
so
It's
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it's the most important thing. The most successful businesses in the market understand that
Hmm.
better than anybody else. Like, struggling up and coming businesses, that's part of what they haven't figured out. And you're never going to grow and really become anything great until you figure out that the key to success is good people, and good culture attracts good people.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most important keys to success is your culture and your people, because people make up businesses, and good people with good culture, they'll take you to the stratosphere, right?
Hmm.
But you got to treat them good.
You do. So you've said that progress is the greatest path to happiness. Where did that belief come from?
Um, that's a good question, and I don't think I've ever been asked that question, and I honestly can't say I know for certain. I do know that to some degree I was born this way a little bit, and I hate to say that because I don't want people to feel like they have to be born to progress, right? Anybody can progress and anybody can achieve that happiness. And it has evolved. The more and more I realize my happiness comes from my progress, the more I want to progress, right? But I've always had this relentlessness about wanting to see things get better. And
Hmm.
I don't know why, but I have. And quite frankly, it's caused a lot of friction in my life, right? With even my loved ones and my family, right? Where, I would have family members doing the same stupid stuff over and over. And I was like, well, it's obvious. If you keep on
Yeah.
doing the same stupid things, you're going to get the same stupid results. You
Yeah.
got to do something different. You got to change, and if you change, then things will get better. And I've just observed happy people are progressing, like whenever you go to a party and look for the happiest person. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing so good. Really? Why? I got a new job, or I'm on a new diet plan, or I'm reading a new book. There's something that they're doing that's changing, and they're having this progress in their life. Something's getting better and better, and they're super happy, right?
Yeah.
And then you go and ask somebody that just looks miserable. Hey, what's going on? How's life? I live in the same neighborhood. I have the same job. I'm doing the same stuff. It's just like I don't see a lot of things progressing in their life. And, I think it's one of the keys to happiness is always looking for ways to progress and grow and change. I
Hmm.
mean, change to me is what precedes progress, right? You first change and then progress happens. But everything starts with belief, right? You have to evaluate your beliefs, and you got to say, just because, my mom and dad always said, this doesn't mean it's true. You gotta go and evaluate those beliefs, and then make a change. And once you change, usually you'll start seeing progress, and I'll find a lot more joy. I also think Tony Robbins, so I'll attribute him. He says progress is your happiness engine. I've heard him say that
Mm.
a couple times.
Yeah.
So that is that, and I always thought that was very powerful. I use that a lot with my team. But yeah, that's
That's a good, you bring up good points. And I have like this question. I don't know if it's a good question to ask, not because it's a bad question, but because it's a personal question. Did you, when growing up, did your parents stay together, or did you have a single mom in the family at all?
no, they're together, and they're
They're
and
together.
they're
Okay.
I want to say I think they're happily married ish.
Okay.
Um, I
Yeah.
mean, they're together, and I think they're happy, and I think they say they're happy, but I know they could be way happier if they progress more.
Yeah. I get that. so for me, like, I think you and I are alike in that way where I'm like, okay, great. What's next? Like we just did that. Fantastic. What's next? We just got home from vacation. What's next? Like we just
Yeah.
won. Okay. What's next? And that's sort of mentality I have. And I'm always about like, that get better mentality. Cause growing up, I had a great example of what not to do. Like my dad was just one of those guys, just couldn't get his act together,
Yeah.
alcoholic, in and out of jail. And so I kind of used that example he was setting for me to go, okay, I know exactly what not to do. Just do the opposite of this. And I just like do a little measure. Will my dad do this? Oh no. Okay, great. I'm going to double down on that, you know? and, and that's kind of what's given me that chip on my shoulder. And then that desire to always, be leveling up. I don't know why. I think you are kind of right. Not everybody has that
Yeah,
same.
and I don't know. Yeah, it's because I see it even with my siblings and cousins and family where, not all of them. I do have a brother that does have a mentality to grow, right? Him
Yeah.
and I both have that similar mentality, right? I think it is sometimes a lot of self reflection, right? Stopping.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're just going too much. We're entertaining ourselves too much. We're constantly on our social, our media, or we're binge watching like whatever it is, and so sometimes you got to like, so you're constantly just inundated with stuff. You sometimes got to like completely disconnect and like reflect on your life a little bit and ask yourself good questions like, I mean, I heard somebody once say marriage is a ball and chain. That sounds funny. So just because it sounds funny doesn't mean it's true and doesn't mean you should repeat it. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people, if you're on time, you're late. 5 minutes early, you're on time, right? My dad used to say that constantly. And so I would get in fights. I would fire people if they were late because I was like, you disrespect me, right? But then I
Yeah.
realized, oh, his wife was having an issue or there was an accident on the road. Like, why do I have this belief? Because I heard it from somebody and I thought it sounded good, right? And so I'm always like, you got to stop yourself and reflect. I think input is really important, right? You have to be learning and reading and constantly, like turn off the Netflix and the social media and turn on a podcast like this, right? Or a book, and get new ideas. I think it was Jim Rohn who says the places you go, the people you meet, the books you read are the only three things that are going to change you in the future. Whoever says, people have said it in different ways, but you know what I mean? So I definitely think getting yourself into new places, new environments, meeting new people, and then input, which is the books, the material, the media you're inputting into your head. Those things are really important. And on a daily basis, you got to really decide on like, is this helping me or is this person helping me or should I surround myself with somebody different, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to do a lot of self auditing for sure. And
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times a week I throw my phone because all of a sudden, next thing you're doom scrolling. You're like, dude, like sucking me into this thing. Like I hate it. Like I love social media, but I also hate social media. I think it's honestly one of the worst things that ever happened, but also one of the best things that's ever happened.
It's definitely a huge thing. I don't do it hardly at all. If like almost ever, my wife does it all the time. But she's
Yeah.
she's Latin. She's from Peru, and so it's a way she stays connected to a lot of her family, friends, and so to me, it's like I see the value in the way she engages with it. Um, I don't see the value of me doing it too much, quite frankly. So I just don't do it. I'm like, I don't see like, and if there's something really important, and we have these conversations, hey, if somebody's just had a baby and the only place that they posted it is on social media, let me know so I at least know, right? Like,
Yeah. So
so
you
it's
can see
good. It's
that.
because people do update their life there. Luckily, I have my wife and she updates me.
Well, so speaking of social media, like, so in the bad way, it's a time waster, it's a brainwasher, it's a agitation machine that, I feel like now at this age, all I get is, bad news on my social media. It's just the
Yeah.
algorithm just tries to feed you bad news propaganda all the time. But on the other end of that spectrum, as a business owner in the RV space, you need social media to survive and sell RVs, do you not?
Yeah, I mean, we're big on YouTube. We do a lot of YouTube, so it's a different environment for sure. And yeah, we do use Facebook for marketing. We use it for our communities, and it is powerful for sure. Instagram too. We're not as strong in Instagram as we could, I think should be.
Yeah.
So I did delete my social medias a while ago, and then I re-downloaded them. But my intention to go into them is to get onto our groups, right? Like we own our Facebook group, and I get in there to just, one of the main reasons why is because my marketing guys are like, "Did you see this?" And I'm like, "No." And I'm like, "Crap, I don't have an app. I can't see it." So then I had to download it so I could see what's going on. But you have to be very careful. You have to control it. You can't let it control you. And listen, I don't have any notification on my phone, period. In text and phone. If I look at my phone, I'll see if I have a missed text or a missed call. That's it. Nothing else. If I open up my phone, no icon shows a number on it or an exclamation mark on it. Like if somebody's called me, I need to look and see it, but it's always on silent. It's not on vibrate. It's not on ring. It's always on silent, period. Never off. And my wife knows.
Checking your phone all day long. Aren't you always looking at it then?
I do have to look at it during working hours. Yeah, I have to be looking at it. But like, I'm not, my phone is in my pocket right now and I'm talking to you. And to me, the most important thing is to be present with the person you're talking to.
I agree with. Yeah.
As soon as we hang up, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my phone and I'm probably going to see 30 missed text messages and 10 missed calls. Right. And I'm going to look at them really quick and I'm going to say, oh, my wife's number one, what I need to reply to her. And then I'll look to see if there's any fires happening somewhere. And you know what I mean? And I'll get onto it. Right. But no, you have to control your device. And your device can't control you. Other than I always say it's not a device, it's a vice at that point, right? And you need to control it. Otherwise, it's not a device, it's a vice. And devices can be great. Devices have changed the world. They're tools, right? Like it's amazing what we can do with a tool and a device, right? That's the difference between cavemen and us today, right? Is our tools and our devices. But you got to be careful.
Yeah. And you do got to be careful, especially nowadays, man. It's weird. And then let me ask this question. Are you guys doing, so in the RV business, are you guys using AI at all?
Oh, absolutely. In ways, I like to say we've been using AI longer than most people. We've been doing some sort of AI stuff for at least 5-6 years. Really? So since ChatGPT existed, we were probably, a lot of my team was on it, and those types of things. But we do a lot of video work, editing, all of my marketing team. I'm honestly not as good at some of this stuff, but I support it and I push it and I encourage it. Obviously I rarely use Google for stuff anymore nowadays. I've been using, I don't use all the Grok and the Gemini stuff as much as whatever, I have sales guys that they use them all, but it's mandatory within our business to be at least using some of those things. And we have accounts for everybody. I say, you don't write an email without putting it in and cleaning it up, or, don't go and research something, throw it in there first and ask your prompts, and then it will give you something better. So there's a huge spectrum of AI, right? Of what you can do and the tools you can utilize. We have our marketing softwares have AI integrated into it. Our phone systems have some sort of AI integrated into it. But we're not using phone operators that are AI yet, because we have humans that pick up phones. We're very experiential and we sell very expensive premium products. So for us, it needs to be,
top tier.
Hello, I'm Shane. How can I help you today? Right. High tech I love high tech, but also I think high touch in a world where everything is high tech is very, very important. And we see a movement away from it. And I believe that we're in a prime space to really make a big impact, because people need to have more touch in their life than tech, right? People need to get disconnected. People need to go out into nature. It's good for your health. There's studies on this stuff. So in a world where we're getting all AI and technology driven, we do need to have a balance, right? And so
Hmm.
we're trying to always figure, walk the
Yeah.
line.
I suppose you connect with people to help them disconnect.
Yes, exactly. This is, yeah, for sure. We're kind of camping is kind of archaic. You spend $200,000 so you can go out and sleep on the ground, right? and crap in the woods, right? I'm like, what kind of industry am I in, right? Most people are trying to get. Anyways, it's kind of a silly thing, but
Yeah.
it yeah, there's so many studies on the science of going for a walk in the woods, right? In today's world where it's actually really, it's healthy for you. Like there's science on like the dopamine and the rush of like, and the stress you can relieve, your cortisol can drop from just going into nature, which is crazy,
What
right?
about, yeah, I think that's crazy. I'll tell you this. So, um, I'm from Vegas. It's my
Yeah.
hometown. I'm from
Okay.
Vegas. So you were born and raised in Utah. That's where you call home.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So I would say Vegas compared to Utah is very different. Like we both have like outdoorsy, mountainy stuff, but I feel like Utah has like better outdoorsy stuff than Vegas does. Like as an
For,
overall whole.
for sure. For sure. Not,
But
not to try to offend you, but yes, the facts are the
yeah,
facts.
yeah. No, like whenever we would go snowboarding, we'd go to Brian Head. Like
Oh yeah, for sure. I
without a
used to
doubt.
live in St. George. So
Oh, okay. So yeah, I drive past you all the time. But I've recently moved to Florida and I live in a tropical area now. And now, like, compared to the desert in Vegas, compared to Florida, like, I never wear shoes hardly ever down here because like, you don't have to. And I feel like way more connected to like my environment because I can be outside, go to the beach, don't wear shoes, wear flip flops. Like the weather is great year round. Versus Vegas is like a concrete jungle. You're not even a jungle; it's a concrete desert.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, right.
you can't not wear shoes out there, and it gets too cold in the winter times. And I don't know, just to your point about being connected with nature and stuff like that, I feel super connected to the planet out here versus when I lived in Vegas.
Oh yeah, and
And
it's
I,
therapeutic and kind of
yeah,
stress relieving, right? In ways.
yeah, absolutely it is. So I get that. I'm not a camper. I'm more of like a water person, you
Yeah,
know? And so for me, maybe like the equivalent of like going for a walk in the woods is like going for a swim, is like how
yeah.
I feel. Like it's more therapeutic for me in that way. um, which I think is super, super important because there's so much distraction, so many buttons, beeps going on, World War III, with everything happening all at once. Like you got to go out and you got to disconnect.
Oh yeah. Well, and the cool thing is, phones aren't ideal for swimming, and the cool thing
No.
is, out in the mountains, they don't work usually.
Well, they got Starlink
Unfortunately,
now.
Elon Musk has ruined us with Starlink a little bit, which is
Yeah.
kind of frustrating at times, but it's also awesome, right? Like,
Yeah.
but like one of my favorite things about going to Moab or into Zion or Bryce or any of these places is you get no cell service and you're
Mhm.
forced to disconnect. And then all of a sudden you're sitting there like, oh wow, I have to entertain myself by talking to a human that's in front of me and
Mhm.
not looking at a screen of humans in other places, right? Like
Yeah.
what a novel idea. And the intimacy that you like, the way you connect with like your family, my wife, my daughter, it's different. It's very, very powerful, right? And
Oh,
there's no distractions.
let me ask you a question. How old's your daughter?
She's 9.
Okay. So for the parents listening out there, what's your stance on iPads with the kids and
Oh
phones?
man. Oh man.
Should kids have iPads at 9 years old?
See, I'm a better business person than I am a parent. Sometimes it feels like, she has an iPad,
Okay.
and we talk to her about her iPad usage. We don't let her live on her iPad. We make her play. We live
Okay.
in a neighborhood with lots of kids, and we say, put that thing down, go out and play. Right? We travel a lot. I bring my wife and daughter to everything business related, pretty much. Like they're very involved, and that's like in your introduction. It's a integrated life, right? I don't believe
Mm.
in separating my business from my family, from my church. I believe that I do everything together, right? We
I
really
see
do.
what you
Like,
mean now. I
huh?
like that. I like that. I see what you mean now, and I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I rarely do a business trip without them. It's just, and guess what? Like we've had to set up our life in a way that I can do that. Like she doesn't go to public school because public schools, their attendance is a big deal. So we found a private school that's like, yeah, you can travel whenever you want, and she doesn't need to show up on Wednesday. And if she misses things, we'll get her a tutor, we'll get her caught up, and but when we were looking to put her in schools, that was to me very important because I'm like, I'm not going to be traveling by myself without my wife and my daughter, and I just don't want to put myself in situations where I would regret or jeopardize my family, right? So it's very important, and yeah, so that's so back to your iPad thing is we have conversations with her. We talk to her.
Yeah.
It's like she wanted her tablet at night next to her bed, and I said no, and she's like, why? Well, what do I want to say? Because I told you so. But it's not what I said. I said, listen, Courtney, there's so many studies done on well, first of all, like the light that it emits from it's the screen. It keeps you awake at night. It doesn't allow you to produce melatonin. You know what melatonin is? You know that stuff that sometimes we give you to make you fall asleep. Your body naturally produces that. And when you're looking at a blue screen right before going to bed on your phone, on your tablet, on the TV, that's bad for you, right? And that's not good for you. And you're not going to fall into sleep as good. And then you're not going to your body's not going to restore itself, and you're not going to be strong when you go and do tumbling, right? And also like these devices, they can listen to things, right? So you don't want it
Yeah.
right next to your head at night. And so like to me, it's always like educating opposed to
Hmm.
dictating and telling people. Whether it's my employees, my team, or my daughter or my wife, like it's lazy parenting just to say don't do this or set a rule around like you can only have it for 1 hour. It's like really like that's just easy, lazy
Yeah.
parenting. To me,
Yeah.
it's like have a conversation and talk and say, hey, like because sometimes we do get on a road trip and I'm like, yeah, here's your tablet. Watch 3 movies back to back. We're driving for 6 hours, right? You don't have to sit here and look out the window. But then when we go into a beautiful canyon, we say, hey, turn it off, look outside. It's beautiful. Isn't it incredible? Like, and we talk to her and we engage, right?
Yeah.
So I wish I had some cool rule like
Right.
only one
No.
hour a day or don't do it until they're 14 or I just don't.
Yeah. What's the thing I see? Like, my wife and I are at that stage where we're thinking about, kids and families and all sorts of stuff like that. Right. And I look at a lot of you got to eat, you go to the restaurants and you see the iPad kids sitting there,
Oh yeah.
like, you know who I'm talking about. And I was like, man, I can't imagine just giving my kid that iPad and just letting him check out. I was like, give him some crayons and make him draw on the table, like anything else that's like constructive, is what I
Oh
think.
no, that's ridiculous. And we don't do phones and tablets at dinner or out to dinner. It's like we're talking and engaging and with her as a 9 year
Yeah.
old. We're having
Yeah.
conversations with her, right? And yeah, and she's coloring too. And sometimes she's bored, but guess what? It's okay to be bored. It's okay. You don't have to be entertained, right? And
Yeah.
but we've been taking her to nice restaurants since she was 1 years old, right? We didn't wait until she was, an unruly child or toddler, right? So she's been trained to sit down and behave in certain situations. And to me, it's like that just seems like common sense. As a husband and a wife, you shouldn't be sitting at a restaurant on your phone. Why would you let your kids be on a tablet, right? Like it's not the time and the place, right? And so and these are just conversations we have and it's just
Yeah.
yeah, kids are the best thing in the world and she's our one and only and just she's our life. So much revolves around her, but we engage with her. We don't just set these arbitrary rules. And think about it. Like if I'm going to start saying, "Hey, you can only have it for X amount of time," at some point when I'm not looking, she's going to do it. At some point when she grows up, she's going to be the typical person that checks out at 5 p.m., goes home and binge watches Netflix shows all night long, right? And I'm like, that's not a life to have. So I'm like, let's engage with life. So to me, it's more about teaching her responsible behavior so that when she's an adult, she's not just doing what everybody else in the world is doing, right?
That
So
makes sense. Yeah.
if that makes any sense,
No, it
I
makes
one of
sense.
my favorite things about, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. One of my favorite quotes for kids is, you're not trying to raise good kids. You're trying to raise good, responsible, adults, right? And so I sometimes look at her as like, I want her a contributing, amazing adult. And sometimes when you treat them that way, opposed to just as a child, right? It's different. You approach it differently. You talk to them. You have a conversation. You explain why. You don't just say, because I said so. Because that doesn't
Yeah.
work with an adult, right?
No, it doesn't. Even though you want it to really badly. Like,
Yeah,
just
right.
do it. Trust me,
funny.
it's for your own good. Yeah. So the last piece of that, your family, congruent with your family and your business, but your church,
Yeah.
right? So how does that play into your business? What do you mean by that?
It's without being like religious, like a certain denomination, just faith based. Like I believe that I've read a lot. I've read hundreds of business books over the years, right? Since I've started my
What's your
business.
favorite business book?
Oh shoot, I don't even know. There's so I honestly I don't even like the question, because I'm like, it depends on the situation that I'm in at the moment that I'm in. Like I recently read one, The Hard Thing About Hard Things. That was an amazing book. But if I were to give that to a young entrepreneur, he might have like, just it would fly right over his head, right? So I don't feel like that's it's a CEO that like sold his business for $1 billion, right? So it's like in his situation, I was reading, I'm like, oh my gosh, I understand a lot of the things he's going through, right? There's so many good books out there. Like the E-Myth, that's like a beginner book, right? For somebody that just started a business. Like that's a great book to read, and you'll learn a lot. But 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is a great book, right? Think and Grow Rich is not really a business book, but it is a business book.
I think that's a great place to start, Think and Grow Rich. That's what I was going to say. Just like if you don't know, just start there.
Oh yeah. I usually, so we have mandatory reads when you start working with ROA. The Go Giver is one of them, and it's very cool. It's just that get your mind. QBQ is another one. These are like 100-page books. They're easy to read, but QBQ is like take ownership, massive ownership. Ask the question behind the question, right? Don't just immediately blame somebody. Ask why did this happen, and how can I change this situation, right? How can I make it better? So faith, back to faith, your question is, I mentioned reading a lot of books, and I like connecting the dots. And I believe like the United States, America was founded on Judaic Christian principles, right? Like the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do to you. Thou shalt not kill, steal, lie, right? So like they're ingrained in us, whether we believe it or not. But I'm shocked in how often businesses don't actually follow their beliefs, right? Like, and a perfect example of, I mean, and it doesn't matter whether it's Gandhi or Buddha or Jesus, they all said the same stuff. If you really go, I'm into it. I read a lot of religious texts, not just Christianity. Like I've read the Quran, I've read the Bhagavad Gita, I've read other religious texts out there, Eastern religions. And I'm like, wow, they're all pretty much saying the same thing. They're just using different words. It's just, but like treating people good, lifting people, right? Like leadership, Jesus, how did he lead? Well, he washed his apostles' feet, right? Well, that's weird. That's not how my manager treats me. He talks down to me and makes me feel stupid, right? He taught in parables. He taught in, he inspired people, right? And so to me, it's like, I believe that if you open the Bible, the scriptures, and even other religious texts around the world, they've been Think and Grow Rich is just the Bible rewritten. It's like Jesus said identical things, like as a man thinketh, so is he, right? Like there, it's in the Psalms, the Proverbs, and Buddha, right? All of these incredible religious leaders, they taught all the same stuff. So to me, it's like you can be a person of faith and you can run a really good business. Because that stuff is in there. It's just sometimes said in Old English that you don't understand, and you got to kind of translate it. We are, but one of our core values is to believe in a higher power. For me, that's God, the biblical God, right? Mm-hmm. But we had a guy that was a Buddhist recently. Is Buddha a higher power? Yeah, it is. I hired a guy that is an atheist. What do you believe in? Well, I believe in the law of attraction. I believe the universe. I believe well, that's a higher power, right? That's not you. It's something you believe in that's greater than you, right? So
Yeah.
to me, like it's important to have faith in something otherwise you get, pretty arrogant and into yourself. And I don't think that's the best way to live your life.
Yeah. Very selfish mentality, selfish lifestyle. It's going to show in your relationships, your work, everything. I think
Well,
your atheist comparison's an interesting one. So you do believe in something just bigger than yourself, like
yeah.
I like that.
And he said, okay, I'm on board, because when we hire people, we say, listen, these are our core values, and if you don't agree with them, you're not a good fit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you don't want to work here. Um, and that was one of his holdups, right? And I said, well, most of the people here believe in the God of the Bible. Like, is that a problem to you? No. You don't mind that, and we actually pray before our leadership meetings. Does that bother you? No, I just don't believe in it. Okay, but you believe in talking to some ethos in the universe to bring things to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we just call it God. You call it the universe, we call it God. We believe in the same thing. We're just calling it a different name, right? And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And I'm like, are you okay with that? Are you on board with that? It's because I don't want you going out and like making a stink about us praying. And he's like, no, I'm on board with that. Like, good. Let's go. You know.
Did he,
So,
did he stay with you? Is he still with you?
oh yeah, and he loves it here. It's unbelievable. He's been amazing, an amazing contributor to the company, and yeah, and he loves working here, and he feels like we have great camaraderie, great culture, and he's worked in some horrible places, and he's like loves it here.
That's great.
So yeah, we're super
Yeah.
happy.
That is that is awesome. You don't hear from good operators. You know what I mean? Good owners, good operators. I hear good stories about that. Every podcast that I've done with somebody who I believe is a good operator, when it comes to culture, they just talk about putting their people first, and like making sure that they're taken care of and making sure that they're happy and making sure that, they understand. And all those guys are doing great. And that seems to be like the one common thing. Everybody just has good teams, good operators, and they do the right thing. I think they do operate in the way that you say, like a faith-based business, whether they publicly proclaim it or not. They're
Yeah.
following just like the simple rules of how to not be a dirtbag,
Yeah, yeah. And I, like I said, I read a lot, and I'm into a lot of the religious stuff out there, but I've also read hundreds of business books, and I'm like, this is all just the same stuff. They're just saying it in different ways. You know what I mean? And so
Hmm.
to me, it's like that's why I believe you can have an integrated life. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to be like, here's business me, here's church me, here's family me. It's like, no, you can just be you, and it's so much more just freeing. Like, I don't have to be
Well,
somebody different at church than I am
yeah,
at work.
you just feel like you're living your life. Every day just feels like a great day because
Oh,
there's no segments.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Not to say there's not hardships and challenges, because there 100% are, but
yeah.
you in the end, it's worth, the struggle, is because you're doing good stuff, and you're doing good stuff for people too. And I say, you show me a miserable person, besides that they're not progressing. The other thing common that they share is they just think a lot about themselves. Poor me,
Pour
happy
me another.
people are, yeah, happy people are, they're helping other people,
Yeah.
so they're more outwardly thinking, not inwardly thinking, right? So I just find the times that I'm most miserable in my life, I stop myself and realize I'm just thinking about me, 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 me,
Hmm.
and how everything's not going the way I want it to go. And I stop myself and I say, I need to go do something for somebody else, because this will make me feel better. Stop thinking about myself and everything that's not going right for me, and move forward.
Yeah.
I got a time management person. I got a flight to catch. She just came in and said,
Oh,
so,
okay. Okay. Yeah.
but
Well, we'll wrap this thing up, man. I appreciate you hopping on and thanks for taking the time to, share with everybody your knowledge and your experience. If they do want to, get a hold of you, or if they want to buy one of your quality RVs that you're trying to, raise the bar here, where can they find you?
So it's ROA, like RVs of America, ROA offroad.com or rvsofamerica.com. So
RVsofamerica.com. Okay.
yeah, rvsofamerica.com.
And are you
So
guys on social media at all? I know you
oh
are.
yeah. You go to YouTube, type in ROA off road. Our DB is a ROA off road, but
Okay.
it's like REI, Recreational Equipment Incorporated. Nobody says that.
Yeah.
It's ROA off road, and
ROA off-road.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, trailers and campers, and we're on YouTube. That's where we're most active, is YouTube, and then Facebook, Instagram, and of course our website is you go to check out all the cool stuff we do. So
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, Shane, I appreciate it. And thank you for coming on. And ladies and gentlemen out there who are listening, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, share it with somebody that you like. If you didn't like this podcast and you thought it was incredibly boring, share it with somebody you don't like so we can bore them off. All right, y'all. Have a good one. We'll catch you on the next one.